Isaiah 61 verse 7. Instead of your shame, you will have a double portion, and instead of humiliation, they will shout for joy over their portion. Therefore, they will possess a double portion in their land. Everlasting joy will be theirs. Isaiah 61 is a chapter filled with hope, restoration, and divine reversal. Verse 7, in particular, speaks directly to people who have experienced deep shame, rejection, or loss. In the historical context, the prophet Isaiah is addressing Israel, a people who had gone through exile, humiliation, and national disgrace. They had lost their land, their identity, and their sense of security. Yet God promises not just restoration, but abundance beyond what was lost. The phrase, "Instead of your shame you will have a double portion," is powerful. In ancient Israel, a double portion was associated with inheritance, especially the inheritance of a firstborn son. Deuteronomy 21:17. It symbolized honor, blessing, and rightful belonging. God is essentially saying, "Where you once felt rejected and disgraced, I will restore you to a place of honor and inheritance." This is not merely compensation, it is transformation. The next line shifts from humiliation to joy. Instead of humiliation, they will shout for joy. Notice the intensity of the change. This is not quiet relief, it is loud, expressive joy, the kind of joy that cannot be contained. God doesn't just remove pain, He replaces it with something so full and overwhelming that it changes how a person lives, speaks, and even sees themselves. The promise continues. They will possess a double portion in their land. This emphasizes permanence. The blessing is not temporary. The people of God will not just pass through restoration, they will live in it. And finally, the verse concludes with, "Everlasting joy will be theirs." This points beyond temporary circumstances to something enduring. It suggests a joy rooted not in situations, but in God's faithfulness and presence. Relevance for today. This verse speaks directly into modern struggles. Many people today carry shame, whether from broken relationships, failures, rejection, betrayal, or even being misunderstood. Some feel used, overlooked, or valued only for what they can give rather than who they are. Shame has a way of redefining identity, making people feel less than, unworthy, or forgotten. Isaiah 61:7 confronts that narrative. God's promise is not that your past didn't happen, but that it will not define your future. Where you were devalued, God speaks value. Where you were rejected, God offers belonging. Where you were humiliated, God promises joy that restores dignity. The idea of a double portion also challenges how we think about loss. We often think in terms of recovery, getting back what was taken. But God speaks in terms of increase. He is not limited to restoring what was lost. He brings something greater out of it. This doesn't always mean material gain. It can mean deeper peace, stronger character, clearer identity, or relationships built on truth rather than manipulation. Everlasting joy is especially relevant in a world where happiness is often temporary and dependent on circumstances. Jobs change, relationships shift, and security can feel fragile. But this verse points to a joy that is not easily shaken because it is rooted in God's unchanging nature. A personal reflection. If you've been in a place where you feel used, rejected, or unseen, this verse is not abstract, it's personal. It says your story is not over at the point of pain. There is a promise of reversal, of restoration, and of joy that doesn't fade, but it also requires trust. Trust that God sees what others didn't. Trust that He values what others overlooked. And trust that His timing and restoration may look different, but will ultimately be better than what you expected. Isaiah 61:7 is a declaration that shame does not get the final word. God does. And His word over your life is not loss, but restored honor, multiplied blessing, and lasting joy.